few years back, a friend of mine wanted to ride the Apple Century. From Wenatchee up around Lake Wenatchee. And I thought, well, Bruce has a place on the airport, or an airplane. Maybe he'd be okay if I came up and camped out at his place. And we met there, and we camped there and do the ride and come back. He said, sure, come on. So I came up and we did the ride, and got done with that, and then stayed up all night telling stories. Bruce loved to tell. Actually, finally, I had to say, I've got to fly in the morning. I can't. I'm going to go to bed. I think he was a little disappointed, but he understood. Yeah, he was definitely the storyteller and opening more heart, welcoming. And something Mary didn't say was one of the stories, if I got this right, is that the best way to finish an airplane is to have somebody else finish it. He got the Aeronica, and he got his 172. He was busy flying that, and I think he finally decided he was not going to finish that project that had been in the basement since Mary was a wee little kid. And so he found some people that were really interested in the airplane that he had. It was quite unique. Yeah, he sold it off to them and got it. They either used the parts for flying something else, or they got it flying themselves. I don't know how the story ended. But the story went on. Still does.
Bruce, Mr. Aaron, Mr. Grant, excuse me, I've got another friend of mine named Bruce that on the line too. I'll get to that. Bruce Graham, Mr. Graham. I've known him a long, long time. But I moved to Alaska back in the early 80s, and I could come back down to Wenatchee. Once I knew where he lived in Cashmere, I could stop there. He'd catch me up on where the kids were, what was going on. He'd feed me something out of the garden, show me what he had going on in the shop or out in the hangar, barn, or whatever it was. Just chat. It was always welcome. And I hadn't heard anybody else say it. One of the things that I really respected him for, he had his dad living with him there for a long time. And it was, I don't know, I thought that was pretty special. I really liked him about that. And I get to come down for, started coming to class reunions, graduated in 72. That was our group got to hang out there as a clique again. Do that. This is Bruce Harris. He's not a comparison. I was in the third grade. Bruce and I were walking home, and we got really overly ambitious and pelted Steve and Tom with a lot of snowballs. I think it was their grandma saw us doing this. She didn't like it. She didn't like it at all. And she sort of reported us to the principal of the Lincoln Grade School. And both of us got called into the principal's office, and I don't think it worked out the same right now. We got talking to them, and they told us that we had to be best friends for the rest of our lives. And Tom and Steve, I wish I could say the same, I don't know you as well, but Tom and Steve were somebody that had to show up, and it's like we were never apart. We spent years talking on the phone. It's a lot of fun. I really like these guys. It's funny how memory works, and I'm not sure if it was real or not. But didn't your dad have us up on the roof of your roofing place? Oh yeah, it goes a long way.
First the
getting
garage,
used to take care
and
of
then the house.
calculating the good stuff.
3 summers.
3 summers.
3 summers, and you were up on the garage.
Okay.
Teaching opportunity.
It was. Good teaching opportunity. The would have been, I had this cassette deck player, and I think I bought Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So I started listening to that kind of music. Ooh, I don't know if he liked that. The basement at the house on Red Apple. I live on Wormiston Street, and we moved a little closer, just on Red Apple. We used to hang out at the house. He was very welcoming, even though I beat up on his kids. The basement, he let us in there. I think the rule was that we just had to clean up after ourselves. I don't know very many other people who had a bunch of grade school, junior high, and high school kids come in and use his shop on a regular basis. Well, I really respect him. I miss him.
His nephew, he's all Bruce to me. And there's two things I'm always going to remember. Golden delicious apples. He'd show up at our house in his old pickup truck that looked brand new. We live in Western Oregon, and it was always clean. And I could never figure out how he got from Wenatchee to Oregon. He had a clean car. And he'd reach into the back of the truck, and he'd always pull out a full box of Golden Delicious apples. And he'd say he knew a guy in a packing house up here. He'd come through in the fall, and he'd go in and he'd get the most ripe Golden Delicious apples. And when we as kids would have them, they weren't big, they were juicy. You can't find an apple like that anymore. And it was always, Uncle Bruce, when he'd bring them, my mom would say, his sister, oh, I can make an apple pie. And he'd have that smile, that really warm smile on, and he'd stand back as if you already knew it. And he'd say, well, certainly you will. And he taught us how the fruit, when you pick it, and how when you bring it to somebody else, what a great gift that is. And always remember this box of Golden Delicious. The second thing I'm always going to remember about him is that warm smile when he looked at you and you felt like you were a part of his family. He also had that appreciation for metal. Because as he was going through our place, he would be taking a part that he had crafted for the airplane museum. And he'd look at, he'd explain the nut and the bolt, and this is a prop nut that I remember. And he explained that he had to not only build it, it was proper antique vintage, but it even had to be, the metal had to be documented, and the whole description of the part and how the process the part was built in, certified, I think is what he said. And how much molybdenum was in the brass. And he lists out metals as if they were really easy for him to remember. And it goes back to thinking about aluminum, and it was aluminum to me, and it was 6061 to him. And it was, for stainless, it was either 803 or 804, or 308, 304, or 316, and it's what you want to use it for. And when he was explaining this, he had that same smile when he showed up at the house. And it was one of those things that he just loved to know about what he was working with. And it was just as good as the apple was the metals he was making things out. And those are two things that I'm going to remember. Okay.
Graduated in 1981 from the school, and I had Bruce Graham, Mr. Graham, as my shop teacher, I think, all 3 years. First of all, Mary, thank you very much for doing this. This is awesome. Mary and I graduated, as a matter of fact, together. But here's what I remember about him. He was the kindest, gentlest man. I don't remember him ever raising his voice in class. he was just the nicest guy. And at the time in high school, I had a 1972 Chevy Vega GT, which we all know the reputation. And he helped me keep that car running. I remember going to him and having issues with it. He instilled in me that don't just go buy a part, try to fix it yourself or even manufacture something. And I've taken that into adulthood and I'm big into cars now. And I owe a lot of that to him. He helped me with a lot of projects on that car. And just an amazing man. So thank you for bringing him to our reunions. It's nice to see him as I moved to Seattle. And wasn't really a little. It was nice to see him. He has been wonderful.